Hello, Carl. Have to excuse my voice. Allergies and the cold have taken my voice away from me for a little bit. We're going to test your carburetors today. We've got carburetor 14234. I hope you can see that down there. And then over here we got carburetor 16987. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, the camera is set on macro, so some of these far away shots will be out of focus. We want to be able to concentrate on some close-up stuff. Now then, mounting the carburetors. When mounting the carburetors, be sure to stabilize this fuel inlet while you turn the swivel fitting. You do that so that you don't potentially rip the threads out of the fuel float bowl cover. Another thing when mounting the carburetors is you install them to where they're a little bit loose. Then you install your big air log in place and put your air log on, and then do the final tightening on the carburetors so that when you have them snug down and you pull this air log off to do any adjustments or to get to the bolts underneath here, that when you go back to put the air log back in place, the air log will slip right in place, because otherwise there's enough movement in these carburetors that up and down and left to right that you can install them where the air log will not fit. Next up, be sure to use a crisscross pattern when you're tightening up the carburetors. Go in a crisscross fashion, tighten them up a little bit at a time. A 1/4 inch drive 14 wobble socket is a great thing to have. Make sure your fuel is filtered, well filtered. I suggest installing an extra inline fuel filter in front of the fuel pump, because the original fuel filter is pretty miserable. Another thing that you're going to do is you're going to adjust your linkage according to the factory specifications, but the last linkage you need to leave that loose so that your I'll show you later on in the video, but your goal is to adjust all the linkages and all the carburetors to where you just take and snap this in place and nothing changes in terms of the idle speed or the synchronization of the carburetors. It's up here. We are going to talk about the idle mixture screws. Idle mixture screw for the first barrel and for the second. Since the car only idles on the first barrel, this is the only idle mixture screw that is functioning. The other one is a dummy. Leave alone, don't touch it. These are your G55 idle jets. Since the car only idles on the first barrel, this is the only one that's functioning. If the car ever refuses to idle, it's because one of these is clogged or the passageway leading to it is clogged. If you need to, when you're on the road, you can unscrew this one, substitute this one, because this one's never used and it will never be clogged. The only other adjustment you get to make is here. You can adjust, you can adjust these levers to move up or down a little bit to help dovetail with the cable coming from straight down. What you're going to want to do is make sure your choke cable is lubed up and moves very, very well, and then you'll attach it and then double check for movement, because the cable is coming straight down, but yet these levers want to move on an arc, and that's what makes the cable feel like it's very hard to pull. Only other adjustment is your idle speed right here. I will have it set for you, but you can certainly adjust if you so choose. And if you don't have one of these, a synchrometer, you can get these online very easily, the BK1-35. Excuse me. If you don't have one of those, then all you want to do is turn each screw the identical amount, and that'll make sure each adjustment is identical. We've got before starting, if the car's been sitting a while, be sure to activate your fuel pump lever on your fuel pump to make sure there's fuel in the float bowls. We've got a clean engine here. I'm sorry, clean engine. We've got a cold engine. So we're going to do an actual test from cold for you, and I'm going to have to get it warmed up. We warm up the carburetors before you can adjust them. So we're going to be doing that real quick. Anyway, so we got switch on. Yes, sir. Yeah, well, that's all right. Oh, that's interesting. Why is it loose? Is it riveted? Is it loose on the other one?
No.
Oh.
Now the other one doesn't have these marks either.
Oh, okay. So it's like it's been rubbing and it shouldn't be rubbing.
Or the other one's not rattling like it should on the wheel. So we'll just put them in and see what happens, I guess.
I guess. You got me.
But now...
which one works, and make a note as to which one has got the loose fitting on it.
This is the driver's side.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just... Anyway.
Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I've never been into one to speak of, so I don't know.
Okay. If one doesn't work...
We will know.
Yeah.
All right, good luck. That was the customer who's working on the horns. And let's see where we were. We're going to start the engine. So we've got the fuel up to the float bowls. We've got give it a couple of, let's see, a couple of pumps. Choke it. Can you see this? Is that camera set up right? Okay, so we got choked. Switch on. Let's see what happens. Battery's not. Oh, wait. I took my starter cables off. People screw around my equipment. Yeah. Now I got the switch on. Choke. That's not bad for sitting for a few days. Now I'm acting as if I am the choke cable here, so you'll be able to feather the choke from the dash, keep the car running as need be. Obviously depends on the temperature. So right now we gotta warm it up. And you can see on the temperature gauge, well, let's see. Alright. Gotta warm it up before we can do anything with it. We'll see the thermostat open up in a minute. There we go, temperature dropping, thermostat opened. So we can tune in some carburetors. Alright. First thing we want to do is disconnect our linkage. So these things are running independently of each other. And we're going to check our airflow. Check our airflow through the second barrel, which is supposed to be closed. See that one barely moved. And barely moved. Back again. This one may be tight. It's still a little tight, so we'll push on it just in case. Yeah. That one was still a little tight, so it'll do wear again. Alright, now we're going to check each first barrel, how they're running in terms of how much air they're processing. So right now we're running 4. A little bit over 4. A little bit over 4. Alright, so we got a nice idle right now, about indicated 1,000 RPM, but it's not really with 1,000. The tachometer is off a little bit. So let's say we want to change our idle. So what we're going to do is we're going to screw in this screw, say a 1/4 turn. And screw this one in. Quarter turn. Now let's go back and check, see how we did. Okay, we're running at between 5 and 6, and between 5 and 6, almost a little bit above up to 6. Let's see how we're doing over here again. Between 5 and 6, so it's pretty accurate. Just depends on how good you are gauging your 1/4 turns. But that's too high of an idle, so I'm going to back it off. Alright, back it off. Right at 4 is too low. Let's make it 4.5. It's a nice idle, 4.5. And move this one up just a smidge, about 4 3/4. There we go. That's nice. Now the next thing we're going to do is idle mixture screws. What you do is, these are very delicate. Do not screw these all the way in and tighten them down and then back them off. These are very delicate screws. And what you're going to do is screw them in a little bit until the engine stumbles, and screw them back out a little bit till the engine stumbles, and you get the midpoint. Trying to stumble. It's very subtle. Trying to stumble. Alright, I like that. Go back here. Yeah, right here. Trying to stumble. I'll show you what it's like if you go all the way. Back out. That's what I mean when I say it's very subtle movements. And it depends if you go too far out. There, it picked up RPM. That's too much. Something about there. And now we're getting back to our linkage. What we want to do is adjust all the linkage according to the factory instructions, and then this last rod is a turnbuckle. Turn it in and out until your goal is to be able to snap on there and nothing changes. We'll go back to our measurements here. So we're 4.5, 5, 4.5, not quite 5. There we go. Excellent. I'm going to restart hot. Got you a real nice set of carburetors there, Carl. Thank you again for your patience.